Welcome back to That Dad Guy. It's September 26, 2023, and today we're going to talk about stamps. I have three different people that have given me some stamps in the last week, so I want to talk about them all individually. And there's a big topic I want to talk about at the end that came up in Friday's video when I showed you a stamp. So we're going to touch on that again and delve into a bit more detail about it. Also, Lilah from Maryland had sent me two separate envelopes with some stamps. So I'm going to show you that. I got some stamps from my sister and brother-in-law in St. John. So we're going to talk about that too. So those are the three topics I want to touch on today. What's special about today's video? Well, today's video is actually the 800th video that I will be uploading to YouTube. It's a lot of work. It's been very rewarding though. I do about 5 videos on average a week uploading to YouTube, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on what's going on in my life and what's happening around me in the city, because I do things like post-crossing, at least 2 videos about that a week, one on Friday and one on Sunday, the incoming, the outgoing. I also do a video on That Dad Guy Answers, so every week you get to ask me questions on Saturday's video, and then I answer them in the following Saturday's video. I do at least 1 video a week about philately or stamp collecting, maybe more depending on if some people send me in some things that I want to talk about and show as well in special videos. I do festivals that are happening around town. I do travel things that happen. You know, if I go on an adventure somewhere, go for a hike, I like to take you along with me. So yeah, I try to keep you abreast of what's happening here in Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada, and just general stuff I'm going through. So I'm coming up on what looks like another big milestone for me, 1,000 subscribers. As of the recording of this, I'm only 9 shy of that. So I look forward to hopefully going over that milestone. Recently, I passed 150,000 views on my channel. So I was pretty pleased about that too. And so now we have another milestone of 800 videos uploaded. So thanks for coming along. If you're new to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, feel free to subscribe, join the crew with everyone else, leave me positive comments, and share with other people. That's all I ask. So let's get into today's stuff. I'm gonna start with the envelopes that I got from Lilah in Maryland. She sent me 2 envelopes. The first one, let's get into the big one here first. And make sure I haven't left anything in the envelope. So she sent me a nice letter explaining that she was at a stamp fair. She's still been going through the stamp exhibition, things that she bought, but one of the things she bought was from this area. And it is about the Confederation Bridge. If you tuned into the channel before, we'll talk about this. This is the bridge that connects New Brunswick to Prince Edward Island. You can see there the full continuation of the 2 stamps with the one in the middle. You can see the beautiful cancellations on this as well. On the back it says, when Prince Edward Island joined Confederation in 1873, the Canadian government promised its residents efficient year-round transportation to and from the mainland. The pledge became the most persistent and contentious issue in PEI history. For more than a century, islanders debated whether the benefit of a fixed link to New Brunswick was worth it and its potential impact to the island's way of life. Work on the Confederation Bridge began in 1993, 5 years after the majority finally voted to replace the existing ferry service with a bridge or tunnel. The main components of the structure included spans weighing more than the Eiffel Tower, were built on the land and then lifted into place by giant floating cranes. At 12.9 kilometers, this engineering marvel is the world's longest continuous marine span bridge over icy water. So it freezes below. It is amazing what they did. So this is the whole souvenir sheet on that. So that was one thing she sent. She also sent me this. This is a prepaid postage card for Canada about peace. But on the front, we have the Canadian flag, and in it, we have what it says. The word peace is printed in our 2 official languages and 21 other languages of Canada as identified by the Stats Canada of 1996. So 23 languages of the word peace over and over again within this Canadian flag. Like I said, it's a prepaid card, so this can be mailed anywhere in the world. So it's been done up. So that was done for the millennium. So that was one thing that Lilah sent, or two items that Lilah sent. Both very cool. The Confederation Bridge is near and dear to my heart. We talk about it a lot on this channel because it is a link between Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick. There is a link between Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia, but it is the ferry service that still runs there. They don't have a fixed link bridge like we do coming into New Brunswick. The other interesting fact about the Confederation Bridge, you only have to pay one way. So you can get on the island, but you can't get off it unless you pay. That's the rule. All right. The other thing she sent, Lilah sent this little envelope. You see the forever stamp there. She sent me a really nice card that's all it's raised, if you will. So there's the cat's raised. And she was going through some of the other things that she found. She bid on a few lots of stamps and she won, and some of it had some Canadian stamps in it. So she thought she'd send them my way. One of the things that she did bid on and find, though, was kind of a unique thing. It was a Ukrainian stamp. So if you go back in my videos, you will see that a number of years ago, probably about 2 years ago now, I was trying to collect Ukrainian stamps to put in an album for my father, because my father really didn't have any Ukrainian stamps. It was a way that I could show support for Ukraine in the way that the war was going. And I had lots of people that joined the bandwagon and started sending me, that album is still there, and I still will collect stamps for Ukraine. And continue putting them in the album for my father. But here's one that she found. I don't have this one, so it's great. I'll add that to the collection. The other thing she found were some mint stamps. Some older mint stamps. Here we are. They still have the gum on the back, so they can be used right away. They could be saved and collected in this pane as they are currently. I'm not sure what I will do with them yet, but it's always great to have those. She did find some booklets too. So Canadian stamps used to come out in these little tiny booklets, and they still come out in booklets, and on the back it tells you the story of the stamp. The Snail Mail with Smokey recently did a talk about the United States Postal Service and how you can buy stamps from them. You just buy them in panes. He was lamenting that they didn't have a write-up on them like Canadians do. Well, here we go. Here is this war memorial featuring a Canadian World War I soldier is located on the west side of the Peace Tower. The Peace Tower is our Parliament building in Ottawa. So here you have a grouping of stamps. You can see this stamp must have got damp or licked or something at one point in time. It is stuck to the booklet and torn away from the other 6. But she found that booklet. She also found this booklet. It says, Winnipeg, the tower dome of the Manitoba Legislative Building is surmounted by the famous Golden Boy statue. And then inside, we have these nice mint stamps of the Canadian flag. So it's interesting that they talk about the Golden Boy statue at the top of the dome, and then inside the stamps have nothing really to do with that. They're just the Canadian flag. So when I saw that, I was expecting a stamp about the Golden Boy inside. There wasn't. So same with this. You talk about the arch. Now this arch is in there somewhere, but you have stamps of Parliament. So thank you so much for those mint stamps and the booklets, and to be able to show off how stamps were issued back in the day. It even talks on the booklet about how you can buy stamps in coils, you can buy them in booklets, you can buy them individually, and just to go to your local post office and see how you want to buy it. So that's written on there as well. All right, the next thing I want to show you is some stamps that were sent to me by my sister and brother-in-law. They were doing some cleaning up and they found some stamps. Most of them are mint, but not all of them. So like this one here, torn off a corner of an envelope. This one here, 80-cent stamp. Here is actually one of the ones that we just showed in the booklet, but I have a used one of those. These ones are mint, so I can use them as well. So these are the 1-cent stamps. And put the hand back up. Here are some domestic rate stamps with the raccoons on it. They're still on the paper, so they can be sent off. Same with these ones. These are dollar stamps. So I would have to add 30 cents if I was sending these to the US, or I'd have to add another $1.71 if I was sending them overseas, but they could be used. And then here are some 22-cent butterflies. It's a very nice one here. This is a P rate, which means it's a domestic rate stamp. So this value is always the same rate as a domestic. So if it costs 92 cents today or $1.50 tomorrow, you can still use it. It's still worth the same amount. In the US, they call them forever stamps. There we go. So those stamps she sent. Now the last stamp that they sent was the one that I really wanted to show and talk a little bit more about. And it comes from India. My brother-in-law's father was from India, recently passed, unfortunately. So I think these came from his belongings. And this one here is a 5 rupees. And if you can see, it says India, and it says court fee at the top. So recently I had talked about Cinderella Philately, and that is the collection of postage stamps that are have to do with a collection of money. So you might have this stamp on your letter or your package, maybe it has your will in it or a legal document in it. You would have to pay 5 rupees in order to receive the parcel. There are ones that have a war tax. There are ones that are a telephone bill out there, law stamps. There's a variety of ones you can collect. It is a really interesting thought or hobby to do because every country must have these. I was made more aware of them from my father's collection, looking back, see what he had. He's got some of the war tax stamps in there, a couple of court ones too. And then I started doing some research and looking at what other ones might be out there. So when I saw that this one, this 5 rupee court fee one, showed up in the collection, I thought it was really cool that it came at a time when I was just researching it, where I'd just been talking about it. And so I'm happy to have this now. I'm not sure where I will put it, but it will definitely stay in the collection as a memory of Mr. Gupta, but also as a part of Cinderella Philately. All right, those are part 1 and part 2. Now, part 3, on Friday, I showed Eric from Ontario, not my brother Eric, but another Eric, had sent me some stamps, all kind of around the 50s and 60s. There was 4 stamps that he sent. I will show them again. Pretty common stamps, nothing too major to them. The last one there is a provincial flower. Or the last one here. But the very last one that I showed and talked about briefly was this one. And what's so special about this one is that G that is overprinted in the middle. The original stamp looks like this. And there you can see the G printed over top. This came out in 1955, I believe. And this G stands for gouvernement, or government. So it's a government stamp. And what is a government stamp or an official stamp? Well, let's say this. Okay, in 1939, we got to go back a bit in history. So 1939, World War II breaks out, and Canada decides they're going to take regular stamps and perforate them with the initials OMHS. OHMS. There you go. Get it right here first. Which means on His Majesty's service. And so these are government stamps. So a government agency can buy a block of stamps. They are perforated holes. I'm going to show pictures of them here. Right through the stamps, they perforated them. And they can use these for mailing within government agencies. They are not free. It just means it's harder for people to steal them. So if someone was working in an office, I don't know, was working in the tax office or working in labor, whatever the office, the government office has it to be, customs, they couldn't take a block of stamps home and use them for their own personal mailing. They had to be used for internal mailing within government agencies. So that's what they did. They did that from 1939 until 1948. And then they said, no, we're not going to perforate them anymore. We are going to take a stamp and overprint it with OHMS. So I'll show an example of what they did here. So they did that, but they only did it for 1 year. They decided, oh, we're going to do it, but after 1949, we're not going to do that anymore. We're just going to put the letter G on it. And because G is the first letter of government and the French version, gouvernement, it worked perfectly. So that's what they started to do. They put these stamps with the G on them, and they have different values. I'll show you an example too of another stamp that they put out with a G on it. And it depends on where the G was put on the stamp, could mean different for the value. This is a 10-cent stamp. If it was mint, it might be worth 20 cents. With the G on it, it might be worth $1 or $1.20, depending on where you look. Yeah, you can get them cheaper online and eBay and stuff like that, but it's not like it's worth a whole lot more. The ones that are perforated all the way through, those ones can be a bit more rare to find them, especially the older ones. So you have to look for those carefully. Now, what I did want, I went into the Scott catalog. So I have these catalogs. This is C. This comes from 2009, so it's not the most up-to-date with prices of what things are worth. But there is a whole section speaking about these official stamps and giving examples of them and which ones you can find with the G's or with the OHMC or OHMS on them. So that was interesting. It also gave a little detail about when things were printed. And then I went into my father's collection and looked at some of the stamps that he had that were like this. Here's one of the ones that has the G, but it also has, it cancels, oh, not the G, sorry, a 6 there. So it is barred out the 5s. This is the 5-cent stamp, and they overprinted it with a 6-cent stamp that year. So you'll see that some of them have air overprinted on them for different purposes that they've done. So an overprint isn't something that's new. The G on stamps went until 1963, and then in 1963 they stopped doing any overprints. Presumably government agencies went into having postage meters. That kind of got away with people stealing stamps and taking it home. You can't really take a whole postage meter home without somebody noticing. So that probably reduced the amount of theft in the postage stamps with government agencies. So for those people out there that are thinking, oh, it was the government agencies got free stamps. They didn't. They had to buy them from the post office like anybody else, but they're just trying to find a way to stop their employees from taking some of them, to break them, to use them to send them Christmas cards or whatever they were going to do with them. There's always somebody trying to skirt the system and get something for nothing out there, unfortunately. And so this is just one of the ways within stamp collecting that people tried to stop there being theft from government agencies. All right, what do you think? Those are the things that I have to talk about today with regards to stamp collecting. It was fun to be able to get that G stamp. Not that it was worth a lot. My father actually has that one in his collection already, so it is something that I could send off to other people. And I did find different things like this one I was showing you. This is a souvenir sheet. These are all real stamps of all the issues from that year. So my father had that in his collection. He's also got one of the used version of that stamp in his stamp Scott catalog, and then the overprint he has too on a separate page somewhere else. So I was interested in seeing it because it made me do a little research. I kind of had an idea what it was when I saw it the first time, but I didn't have enough knowledge about it to speak about it right then and there on Friday. So I wanted to hold it off and talk a bit more about it. And hopefully you guys got something out of it too. If it's the first time hearing about these overprints, maybe you're not a Canadian stamp collector. Maybe you might want to become a Canadian stamp collector from watching some of these videos too. We've put out some amazing things through Canada Post. Pretty proud of the stamps that have come out. I am a world collector, so having stamps from Ukraine or from Great Britain, Australia, New Zealand, wherever, they're all amazing to see. But I'm proud of my own country, so I am going to continue to promote it as much as I can, and hopefully you'll continue watching too. So for the rest of today, have a magical week. Have a magical day.
What, Polo? You say like, subscribe, share, and tell all your friends?
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?